So, I want to talk to you about my life and how ADHD and other things affected it. I grew up with ADHD. It was called ADD back then, but nobody knew about it. I didn't find out about it until I was 27 when I read some case studies and went, holy cow, this is me. There's a name for it. But my whole childhood with my parents didn't know. So I made a lot of mistakes. Spatial awareness wasn't top. My balance was pretty bad. Terrible at games and sports. And forgetting things, made a lot of mistakes. So my father got a little frustrated and angry and loud. Often. There was no violence or anything. There wasn't really even emotional trauma. But I learned to avoid any possibility of annoying or inconvenience or interrupting so that I wouldn't get yelled at. And my entire life has pretty much been built around, please don't yell at me. I took a career in support, and I never learned how to ask for things because that would be against the prime directive of not risking getting yelled at. I was pretty smart, but I wasn't doing well in school, so that was another point against me. In any case, what happened was I ended up growing up pretty much inside my head because I didn't have a lot of friends. We lived out in the country a mile from other people. And so I grew up believing that being perfect was the solution and that everyone was trying to be perfect. I had no idea the rest of the world was so happy with content, with satisfactory. And I didn't learn it till I was quite late. So when you're growing up trying to be perfect, and your ADD also tacks on the sensitivity to injustice. I didn't have any friends that shoplifted. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I really tried to be perfect for my mom and dad. I failed, but I tried. And I believed that was the way. And then, when I was 50, the first time I really lived alone in my universe instead of somebody else's, I went to therapy and I discovered, what do you mean not everyone's trying to be perfect? Yeah, they're not. The other people are just trying to get by, trying to pass the day, get their paycheck, whatever the case may be. They're not too worried about perfection. And that was a huge concept for me, so much so that I overcompensated and I ended up losing a few customers because I was no longer worrying about being prompt and on time and worrying about being perfect. So the quality of my work went down a little bit. But that didn't last long. I lost a big customer and smartened up. For me, trying to be perfect was the way. I'd grown up that way. I lived it. And I never smoked. I never shoplifted. I did speed. And I once stole a swig of my dad's alcohol. And that was the end of that for years. And then around 27, I discovered what ADHD was. And around the same time, figured out that there was an answer for a lot of the things I was doing wrong. Or not wrong, but, so I'm a really smart guy, but I'm not well educated. I speak well. I try to be perfect. I spell your correctly, and my grammar is pretty good. And I am sensitive to injustice. But as with anything else in the ADD spectrum and the autism spectrum, you develop, they call it masking. I'm not sure how much of my personality is masked. I certainly do conform to the person who's in front of me. And I get more done when there's someone in front of me. They call that body doubling. I never knew what it was called, but I always knew I needed two thoughts going on to get anything done. The thought process of what I'm supposed to do, and the secondary thought process so that I can flip back and forth and my brain doesn't go looking for a new second, because that's where the distractions come in. If I try and work and I don't have music playing or something going on, my brain will go, oh, we need another activity. It might be more interesting than the one I'm working on. So that's my story, and I suspect some of you. But if you don't have ADHD, maybe you understand people who do just a little better. Share this with your neurotypical friends, but don't call them that, because unless they watch TikTok, they're not going to know that term. Probably.